Hello and welcome back to Teen's Voice, a channel where we recognize and solve the real problems of teenage boys and girls. Today our video topic is suicide awareness. Warning signs teens and parents miss in 2026. As schools worldwide grapple with the lingering echoes of post-pandemic isolation, relentless academic pressures, and a digital landscape that amplifies both connection and comparison, suicide awareness has never been more critical, yet the warning signs that teens and parents miss remain alarmingly overlooked, particularly amid rising risks tied to stigma in educational environments. Despite modest national declines in suicidal ideation among 12 to 17-year-olds from roughly 13% in 2021 to about 10% in 2024, with attempts dropping from 3.6% to 2.7% according to recent federal health surveys, suicide continues to claim young lives as a leading cause of death for those aged 10 to 24, affecting over 2.6 million adolescents with serious thoughts and nearly 700,000 attempts in the prior year alone. In schools, these risks are not fading but intensifying for many due to unspoken cultural barriers that treat mental health struggles as personal failures rather than treatable conditions, leading to delayed interventions and tragic oversights. Stigma in schools manifests as a silent epidemic. Students fear being labeled weak or attention-seeking if they admit to anxiety or hopelessness, while teachers and administrators, overburdened by test scores and zero-tolerance policies, often prioritize discipline over empathy, creating an environment where open dialogue feels risky and help-seeking is equated with academic derailment. Parents, juggling work and their own stressors, frequently dismiss subtle shifts as just a phase or teen drama, missing the quiet desperation brewing beneath the surface of high-achieving report cards and social media facades. Teens themselves, immersed in peer groups that glorify resilience and mock vulnerability through memes or group chats, internalize these norms and fail to flag distress in friends or even recognize it in themselves until crises escalate. This dynamic is especially pronounced in competitive or under-resourced schools, where bullying, cyber harassment, identity exploration pressures, and economic uncertainties compound the isolation, pushing at-risk youth toward hidden despair. Without the safety nets they desperately need. The warning signs that slip through the cracks in 2026 are often the ones that masquerade as everyday teenage turbulence, yet they signal profound internal battles when viewed through a lens of awareness. Classic indicators include sudden withdrawal from friends, family, or extracurriculars that once brought joy. Teens might stop texting their squad or skip club meetings, but parents chalk it up to growing apart or focusing on studies, while peers assume it's just social media burnout. Changes in eating or sleeping habits, such as skipping meals under the guise of dieting for sports or sleeping excessively as catching up after late-night scrolling, go unnoticed amid busy households. Increased irritability, unexplained anger outbursts, or reckless behaviors like driving too fast or experimenting with substances get misread as hormonal rebellion rather than cries for help rooted in feelings of being trapped or burdensome. Verbal cues, often the most direct yet ignored, involve casual mentions of hopelessness. What's the point anyway? Feeling like a burden, you'd all be better off without me, or unbearable emotional pain, which teens brush off as edgy jokes and parents attribute to typical angst. More insidious are actions like giving away prized possessions, a favorite hoodie, gaming setup, or even writing farewell notes disguised as poetry, which teens and parents alike dismiss as decluttering or creative expression, overlooking the finality they imply. In school settings, academic decline or sudden perfectionism can mask deeper issues. A straight-A student suddenly bombing quizzes might be seen as slacking off, not as a sign of concentration struggles tied to undiagnosed depression. Physical complaints, headaches, stomach aches, or fatigue without medical cause flood nurses' offices but rarely trigger mental health referrals, especially when stigma discourages counselors from probing beyond study stress. Consider the example of 16-year-old Mia in a bustling urban high school, where college prep dominates every hallway conversation. Mia, once outgoing and captain of the debate team, begins withdrawing into her phone during lunch, ignoring texts from friends and eating alone in the bathroom to avoid questions. Her parents, both working professionals, notice her late nights but assume it's exam cramming. Teachers praise her maturity for independent studying. Unbeknownst to them, relentless cyberbullying over her appearance amplified by school group chats has left her feeling hopeless and trapped. Classic signs amplified by the school's unspoken rule that real students handle it alone. Peers see her isolation as being too cool for us now, missing the withdrawal that AFSP and IMH guidelines flag as a red alert. Only when Mia starts giving away her debate trophies to classmates with vague comments like "I won't need these soon" does a concerned friend finally speak up, leading to a counselor intervention that saves her life, but it took weeks of missed signals rooted in academic stigma. Another poignant case involves 14-year-old Jamal at a suburban middle school transitioning to high school pressures. Jamal, a quiet gamer who thrived in his sports club, suddenly loses interest in tournaments, sleeps through classes, and snaps at his siblings over minor things. His parents, immigrants prioritizing education above all, interpret his moodiness as laziness amid rising family expectations. While school peers tease him lightly about going soft without recognizing the rage and emptiness beneath. The stigma here is layered. Jamal fears being seen as not tough enough in a boys' culture that equates vulnerability with weakness. And the school's limited mental health resources, overwhelmed by post-pandemic demand, prioritize suspensions over support. He begins taking unnecessary risks, like skipping school to wander alone. A behavioral shift parents miss as typical rebellion. It isn't until Jamal shares a poem in English class hinting at no reason to live that a perceptive teacher, trained in basic awareness programs, connects the dots, referring him to help and averting a potential crisis. These examples underscore how rising school risks intensified by social media echo chambers, economic divides, and identity stigmas for LGBTQ+ or minority youth make early detection a community effort, not just a parental one. Yet another scenario highlights the peer-to-peer blind spots. 17-year-old Alex in a rural high school, where mental health talks are rare and "pull yourself up" is the mantra. Alex starts making indirect comments in group projects about not being around much longer and gives away his cherished skateboard to a teammate, saying it's no big deal. Friends laugh it off as dark humor. Parents see it as generosity amid his normal sports involvement. And teachers note his slight grade dip but attribute it to senioritis. The school's stigma, fueled by limited counseling and fear of parental backlash, means no one probes deeper, allowing Alex's sense of unbearable pain to fester until a trusted coach, spotting the isolation during practice, intervenes. In each case, the missed signs weren't dramatic breakdowns, but everyday erosions, exacerbated by environments where admitting struggle risks social ostracism or academic judgment. Breaking this cycle in 2026 demands proactive steps. Schools must integrate stigma-busting programs like peer leadership initiatives and teacher training on subtle cues, while parents foster open, non-judgmental check-ins beyond grades. Teens can be empowered as first responders by learning to say something when they spot withdrawal or risk-taking in friends. Resources like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline or local equivalents worldwide offer immediate, confidential support. Text, call, or chat 24/7, proving that reaching out isn't weakness but strength. By shining a light on these overlooked warning signs and the school stigmas that conceal them, we transform passive observation into active prevention, reminding every teen and parent that no one has to face these battles alone. Awareness isn't just information, it's the lifeline that turns 2026's risks into opportunities for hope, connection, and saved lives, one conversation at a time.